Crime and safety concerns have long been a top motivator for Republican voters, but now Democrats are also taking note of high crime rates and starting to turn on their own party. ABC News' Rachel Bade has more.
Amid nationwide protests for racial justice in 2020, Portland residents elected a district attorney vowing not to prosecute certain crimes. Disorderly conduct, criminal trespassing, even some types of harassment were given a pass. The state also decriminalizing drugs like heroin.
If we are going to be responsive to this current moment and the demands from the community who are calling for criminal justice reform, we must implement far more robust changes to this system.
Now, 4 years later, drug use is rampant on Portland's sidewalks. Fears of crime are spiking. And that district attorney, Mike Schmidt, is out of a job. The progressive accused of being soft on crime, ousted by a one-time Republican in one of the most liberal cities in the nation.
For me, it really comes down to being compassionate, but also holding people accountable.
Portland isn't alone. Nationwide concerns about crime have reached a 30-year high. The politics of criminal justice reform flipping.
There's been a major shift in how people think about crime and talk about crime, even since 2020. Particularly in the Democratic Party, you've seen a lot of concern around police tactics, around brutality, around racial discrimination, and very loud calls to defund the police back in 2020. Since then, there's been a pretty significant backlash.
Sentiments changing as violent crime is actually dropping from pandemic-era highs, the murder rate declining 13% from 2022 to 2023. But property crime, from shoplifting to burglaries and auto theft, remain high. Carjackings more than doubling in the past 4 years. From Chicago to San Francisco, the blowback leading to the political demise of liberal prosecutors and mayors. Up in New York, House Republicans have flipped Biden-carried districts by campaigning on this matter.
We're seeing a real shift in the national political overall climate, and it's happening in red states and blue states and red cities and blue cities alike. And we've seen it happen at every level of government, congressional candidates, district attorneys, really up and down the ballot.
Voter anxiety is now becoming a wedge issue on the presidential campaign trail. Trump portraying himself as the law and order candidate and trying to yoke Biden to the defund the police movement. As president, Trump actually signed a bipartisan bill shortening sentences for some drug offenders. Now he wants the death penalty for drug users, and even to shoot shoplifters on sight.
Very simply, if you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot as you are leaving that store. Shot!
Biden's record on the issue is also complicated. As a senator, he was the chief architect of a 1994 crime bill, what advocates later blamed for mass incarceration of minorities. Yet as he ran for president in 2020, Biden met with the family of George Floyd, calling for an end to discriminatory police practices. But Biden has also firmly rejected the left's call to strip funding from law enforcement.
When it comes to public safety in this nation, the answer is not defund the police, it's fund the police. Fund the police.
Rachel Bade, ABC News, Washington.